Do we separate ourselves from the world? Do we immerse ourselves in the world in order to know it and serve it better? Do we turn our gaze toward heaven and never look down again? Our passage from Hebrews speaks about believers feeling like strangers and immigrants in this world, which is actually a great way to put it. Now, to change subjects just a tad, Emily makes me watch a lot of HGTV. Now, that's your cue to act sorry for me with the big awe. Yeah, thank you. It's my cross to bear, and I'll bear it. One of their longest running shows on HGTV is something called House Hunters. Anyone who's watched HGTV has seen House Hunters, wherein essentially a family and a real estate agent tour 3 houses, and at the end they pick one of them. It's kind of like a game show, but the contestants end up shoving all their money into a house rather than winning any money from their efforts on the show. Now, apparently, this show got so boring, and I can see it coming. Years ago, I could see it coming that this show would get so boring that the creators decided they needed to spice up the content a little bit. So they came up with House Hunters International, right? It's House Hunters International. Let's spice it up with a little international flair. Sometimes it features business types who are looking for a house to stay in while they're working abroad. However, more often than not, it features couples who, for one reason or another, have decided to call a whole new country home. Now, these people are called, there's a term for this, evidently they're called expatriates. For one reason or another, these expatriates, or expats, as they are commonly referred to as, they have left their native country to seek homes abroad. They have had to learn a new language, or at least to work their way around a new language. They've had to learn new customs. They have to learn how to live as someone who, from the start, doesn't belong. In my trip to Brazil at the beginning of the summer, I got a little bit of a taste of what it means to be in a place where you don't naturally and automatically belong. It's a strange feeling, but I still had a great experience in Brazil, and many expats, they love their experiences. Eventually, expats acclimate to their new surroundings. They learn the new language, they pick up the new customs, and to some extent or another, they find some sort of social group where it is they can exist and socialize and be in their new land. The life of a Christian, to some extent, should be lived to the same effect. What do I mean? The faithful Christian life will always be seen as unconventional. Therefore, the faithful Christian life will always set one apart from their particular crowd. The faithful Christian life will lead one to feel as if they are a stranger in the world around them. The life to which Christians are called is not one that is familiar, but is highlighted by a differentness to it. I'll switch just one more time. Would you, say, hug a dirty, smelly homeless man if you were confronted by one? If he asked you for a hug? Tony Campolo had the chance to answer that question. One day around noon, he was walking in downtown Philadelphia. He noticed that there was a bum coming up on the sidewalk. Tony was wearing his nicest preacher's suit, so he had some sort of stake in avoiding this situation. The bum was wearing layer upon layer of filthy clothing. His most obvious feature, the homeless man, that is, was a tangled beard that was nearly down to his waist and full of rotted food hanging out in places here and there. The teeth that he had left were yellow and stained. He was holding a cup of McDonald's coffee in his hand. As he staggered toward Campolo, he said, "Hey, mister, you want a drink of my coffee?" As you can imagine, Campolo really didn't want any of his coffee, but reconsidered, and then said, okay, and he took a small sip. He handed the cup back to the man and said, you're feeling pretty generous today, aren't you? What's gotten into you? The man answered back, well, I figured if God gives you something good, you ought to share it with somebody else. Uh-oh, Campolo thought. He's really getting ready to hit me up, at least for $5 or something. Knowing it was what he was supposed to do, Campolo said, well, you shared your coffee with me. Is there anything that I can do for you? Yeah, come to think of it, there is, the man said. Campolo then started to reach for his wallet. I just lost my place. They get back to me. Campolo started to reach for his wallet, and the man said, you can give me a hug. Campolo said now he kind of wished the man had asked for $5. But he put his arms around the man, and the man hugged right back and didn't let go, in fact. There, all of the business people in Philadelphia were streaming around these two men, a man in a suit and a man in rags, hugging on the sidewalk. And just as Tony was ready to push himself away, he sensed Jesus whispering to him, I was hungry, did you feed me? I was sick, did you visit me? I was a bum on Chestnut Street, did you hug me? For if you have done it to the least of these, you have done it to me. That's the kind of differentness the Christian is to live their life with. It's not really about being more mindful of heaven than you are of earth, or vice versa. The faithful expatriate Christian learns how to live and love in the uncomfortableness of knowing we haven't truly experienced what home feels like. We exist, or are supposed to, in a constant state of, to one degree or another, of uncomfortableness. In the meantime, before we get to that final destination, our goal is learning how to be useful and faithful stewards for the one who issued our passports. And all the way through, giving thanks to God for the opportunity. Amen.